this last Tuesday, the Tennessee State Senate has voted to permit any gun owner in the state to openly carry a firearm in public, provided that they are not otherwise barred from doing so. This bill, however, if it should come into law, would also eliminate the requirement which requires gun owners to complete a firearms safety training course before they can actually carry a gun in public. So this would basically allow anyone to carry a gun in public anywhere they want, without having to actually have any sort of safety training to carry that weapon. So until 2007, Vermont was the only state in the country that did not require a special permit to carry a firearm in public. However, now, since then, gun carry permit requirements have been eliminated in several states: Wyoming, Arizona, Alaska, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And soon, Tennessee, it seems. Unregulated gun carrying in public, however, I believe could spell disaster for public safety in general. The most common cause of gun homicides in this country are usually, the cause is an argument, usually involving intoxication of one or more of the parties. Now we've got states, that are passing laws saying that it's okay to carry and conceal a gun in bars. So it seems like unending insanity when it comes to gun deregulation in this country. As Professor of Sociology Jennifer Swartz from the Washington State University tried to explain, nearly one-half of all homicides were preceded by some argument or fight. And with that logic, when you have a gun that's readily available, a fight that would normally end with screaming or hitting or fist fighting can quickly escalate into murder, which is what often happens in these scenarios. So, Jeff, what's your take? Is this another recipe for disaster?
In short, yeah, absolutely. But my larger point is this. So I've said this before on the show on a Thursday night, so you weren't here. But this is another example of how the NRA has effectively won. They have removed all opposition and effectively stopped all gun control efforts. The Democrats have surrendered on this issue en masse. They're not fighting this. So now the gun manufacturers and their fronts, the NRA and the politicians, are now pretty much in the position to strip away any semblance of common sense from our existing laws. And this is just another good example of that. They're basically allowing anybody to carry a gun at any time without any sort of training. Now, to all of those, gun owners who know how to use their weapon, who know how to safely store their weapon, and do so, this is not for you, okay? You guys are fine. I don't have any problem with somebody who actually exercises safety. The problem is that it's for the people who don't. And for those who are like, yeah, for this, yes, those kind of laws that we're making us get permits and stuff, well, that's against the Second Amendment. So you're going to tell me that, if you're a pro-gun guy, you're going to tell me that it's too much of a constitutional burden to have someone teach you what end of the gun should be pointed where, and that we should all be allowed to walk around wielding these things like we're gangbusters, right? Without having to even prove that we actually know how to safely operate one? That's insane. And it's not like the training courses are all that stringent. And so this is where we're at. And this is why, look, normally when we have these discussions, we have Dan or Steven with us, right? And if they were here, they'd be looking at us like we're insane. Because the argument really isn't about gun control anymore. Because like I said, they've won. We're not getting rid of guns. That would be a monumentally stupid thing to do, to be honest with you, to even try to attempt. But I also want to ask a question to you guys that believe that guns will protect you against your tyranny. Tyranny's already here. And I'm not talking about Barack Obama. It's the tyranny, ironically, of the gun and of the dollar bill. And now let me explain what I mean by that. Corporations have pretty much inflicted their own tyranny through the government that they have bought. And speaking of the government, of course, they're spying on us. You know that recent heartbleed thing that's been going around? Well, apparently, according to different sources, they allegedly knew about that heartbleed for a while, and the NSA was exploiting it to gather information on 2/3 of the internet. So here they are. They're collecting our metadata, our phone calls, our web chats, Facebook profiles, everything, all of our information. Tyranny is already here, and they did not have to fire even a shot. It's amazing. So, you know, I ask you, I gotta ask you, where does it end? Where does it end? And I don't see it.
The more clever form of tyranny does seem to be that which does not need to use a gun in order to enforce its tyrannical rule.
You're going to find a war. It's a war of information. It's a war of secrets. Against that, how are you going to use a gun to fight against information? You see what I mean? Like this isn't like tyranny doesn't have to come in the form of force of arms. You're not going to be, you know, like, and forgive me for breaking Godwin's law, but you're not going to be Hitler rolling in there with a bunch of tanks. No, you're going to be the NSA collecting every secret piece of data that you have on the internet and using that against you. That is how you get tyranny in the 21st century, not from taking away someone's guns.
Right, which is not even an inkling of that has even come to pass. No one's taking away anyone's guns. That paranoia is completely unfounded. But it's a paranoia that people, organizations and people like the NRA, they feed off of that, because when they spread paranoia like that, they sell more guns. I mean, more guns were sold after the election and re-election of Obama than any other time in the last decade.
Because they're out there saying, oh, that Obama, he gonna take your guns. It's been what, 5 years now? He's not coming for your guns, dude.
It's absolute. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, and back to the gun manufacturers, you make a great point when you pointed that out, the NRA and everything selling more guns. Because the NRA and gun manufacturers and the corporations and the politicians, they're more than happy to sit back and let us fight each other while they run to the bank with our money. And so if we buy their guns and then shoot each other with them, well, that's fine to them, because the more that we fight each other, the more we ignore them, the more we ignore the real issues of, you know, corruption and money in politics and all of that stuff. And of course, the better off they are and the worse off that we are. So I think we need to focus on the real issues, and people need to wake up and like understand how the gun lobby and how the politicians and all that stuff, they want us to fight each other, and the more guns there are, the worse off it gets.
And it's absolutely reasonable that we expect every citizen in this country who earns the privilege of driving a car to go to a DMV or a BMV, as they have them around here, Bureau of Motor Vehicles, to go and have a test and get your learner's permit, and then use your permit to learn how to drive a car, and then go back a year later to get your driver's license and actually earn the right to drive a car. You have to pass an eye exam. They gave me a background check. You have to have a road examination. Those types of things, if it is required to possess a motor vehicle and to drive a car, then why not to own a gun? Why not to carry a gun in public? It's absolutely 100% reasonable. Yeah,
but in one reason, like one argument you know you're going to see, right, is the fact that, well, driving a car isn't a constitutional right. It says right here in the Constitution that it shall not, you know, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. I mean, what would you say against that?
Well, for one thing, the car wasn't invented when the Constitution was written. And for another thing, the Second Amendment does not exclude regulation or gun laws in the country.
Yeah, didn't they have some sort of clause in there that said well regulated?
Right, of course. But, you know, that's not what they really meant.
That's what we're going to hear. So, I mean, that whole this whole thing, this is the point that I was getting at in my little rant before. They want us to have access to these firearms, easy access to firearms, without any training, without any regulation. So one, we can buy more guns, and two, we can shoot each other because it's profitable for them either way. And
Right.
this is really just a bigger problem than just gun control.
And it's a disastrous vision I see for society when everyone without being required to provide any proof that they have any qualifications whatsoever to handle a deadly weapon, anyone anywhere within a society can be carrying a concealed weapon at any point in time. That just sets things up for failure.
It's not a concealed
and sets up society.
I'm
Right. Carry permit.
The open carry.
Yeah, open carry permit.
Not
Right.
Concealed, normally you do have to get a permit, so let's be fair on that. Let's keep that real.
Right. That was just slip. But yeah, anyone can be openly carrying a gun at any point in time. That sets a society up for failure and disaster right away, and I think keeps a society locked in this state of constant fear and anxiety.
And that's definitely one of the things America is getting close to number one is the fact that we're, I think, one of the most highest countries on the scale of, anxiety and mental disorders, depression and all that stuff. Is because look at the society that we've created. This competition, ultra competition, ultra capitalist. We are, success at any cost. That means if I got to step on you to get to the top, that's fine. That's what I'm going to do. Plus, you don't know who's packing. Of course, if, open carry, you do know who's packing, and that might make it even worse because then, everybody's having guns. You got a problem with somebody. Somebody wants to be a little pushy. Somebody wants to be a George Zimmerman to you. What are you going to do, right? You can't really talk back to them because you're going to get a gun in your face. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing that leads to those sorts of problems. And so, I mean, it's just a disaster all around. And what can you do? The U.S. the population is so fearful now. They're fearful of the government. They're fearful of minorities. We're fearful of each other. You even try to pass and to get gun control involved at all, and it's just going to be a disaster, an even worse disaster. So what sort of options are we really left with? And I just don't see any.